When COVID started, we took her in. We will call her M, because of family problems happening to her. Due to this, we also enrolled in the same school. I'm talking about my cousin. Public transportation fares are expensive in our place. My parents give both of us an equal amount of allowance per week. Yet I was paying the majority of the expenses for public transportation. I understood that she must pay for her other needs too, but I also do. We have settled upon it and have decided to split the fare equally between us. She was also a little irresponsible at home, not even getting food or water bottles out of the room that we shared after she was finished, resulting in ants, and both me and the cleaning maid being the ones to clean up after her. Despite us being seatmates in school, she moves that chair away from me. She maybe got carried away with it and forgot about me, or just assumed that I did not want to socialize with them. She sometimes tries to get me involved with them, so I didn't really mind it at first. While I do understand that both of us live separate lives from each other despite living together, it still felt like she was pushing me away. At first, I appreciated that she criticized my behavior at school due to my abysmally poor socialization skills. It started to feel like she just approached me if she noticed something about my behavior that embarrassed her. I'm extremely non-confrontational and I don't want to hurt her, but it just felt draining. I did not want her taking responsibility for my actions and did not want to drag her in it. Also, I tailed off with her everywhere she went because we cannot be separated from each other. Her words. And I ended up just being there when she meets up with her friends after dismissal, in which I feel like a burden to her. I can't go my separate way and must be with M for the entirety of the ride back home. Additionally, taking public transport was all I have said prior. Not only was I going broke, but the both of us went home extremely late at night, which I wasn't really happy with, because 1. The fare was set to go up 60% at night. It was night time. Last month she went to her old home for examination, and I started feeling okay. I thought about it for a few days and have decided that we should part ways. So I asked her if she can stay there and the both of us go solo, effectively kicking her out. She said yes. I asked if she was okay with it, and she said yes. I asked if she's going to feel bad about it, and she said no. In retrospect, I should have talked to her first, so that we have landed on a decision that both of us have known the reason to and agreed to. Now the both of us feel bad about ourselves. Mother told me she was crying when she went home after that conversation. Pretty selfish on my part. I tried to reach out to her to at least sort things out, but she left me on the scene. A few weeks have passed and we aren't talking to each other anymore. Am I in the wrong? And now for some comments. You're not in the wrong. Your cousin got your room infested by being messy, leached your allowance, controlled times when you could go home and who to speak to, manipulated it into you being a problem. You needed a way for your own sanity. You're not in the wrong. Your cousins sound rude, controlling, and annoying. My friend's wedding is this upcoming Saturday, and a week ago I changed my hair color. It originally was this gross washed out mint green with some whites, and my roots were showing. So I got something else. I talked to the bride, and she said what color. So I told her a lavender. And she said that's cool. When we tried the lavender, it became a very uneven and blotchy blue. So we tried to fix it while still making it look presentable. I'm a hairdresser, and the bride and I are best friends. I'm her man of honor. My hair is now purple and blue and a hint of pink. She found out and was excited for me and then flipped her crap. She was cool and everyone appalled that I would do it so close to the wedding. My mom and her are close. So my mom stuck up for my decision, saying it's just hair and everything. She then called the other bridesmaid and the groom's grandparents, who were all extremely upset, and even called the groom, who compared it to wearing white on her wedding day. We decided it was okay, that everyone would sit down so no one would get distracted by me, and I wouldn't be taking attention from the bride. What made me upset was I've been helping her through this wedding and through the passing of her mom, and she thought I was trying to sabotage her wedding and make it all about me. Since I'm a hairdresser and I color it way too often, I don't want to damage it even more. She even said to me that I need to change it because her family is more traditional and conservative than mine, and having a gay man being man of honor is already borderline for her family. One of the bridal party members a few days ago walked up and asked, "So what's going on with this?" And mist was my hair. I tried explaining this to her, but she ignored me, and the bride needed her help. Grandma then went to the bride to help change and asked why did he do it before the wedding? Why couldn't he have done it after? And is he still not changing it, and so on. I am so tired of this judgment and everyone's thinking I'm a bad guy. And now for some comments. You're not in the wrong. It sounds like she wanted you to keep your hair looking bad for the wedding. Don't you know only the bride can look good? Wow. You are not in the wrong. You'll be the jerk if you went from your natural color to bright fantasy colors before the wedding. But it sounds like you're always colorful, and your old color was gross and not appropriate for a wedding. You had to do something with it, and you made sure it looked fresh for a formal event. Did she want you to come to her wedding with ugly faded color and roots? Wouldn't that have called just as much attention to you and been worse for photos? It feels like you're in a lose-lose situation here. Everyone sucks. She has no right to dictate to you about what you do with your own body, but equally you could have given her the courtesy of checking with her before going ahead, considering how much of an important role you're playing in her wedding. Waiting another week to dye your hair or putting a temporary color on it that you both agree to wouldn't be too much to ask of you. I'm in a really conflicting situation that requires unbiased judgment because I feel extremely guilty about the way I'm handling things. Long story short, my daughter-in-law has severe morning sickness, also known as hyperemesis gravidarum, and I'm tasked with her caregiving. It's a horrible sickness to have, and I feel extremely hurt for my daughter-in-law. When daughter-in-law was 3 months along, my son asked if me and my husband could take her in and care for her because he felt disrupted at work and couldn't sleep well. I immediately obliged and was happy to help because daughter-in-law's parents are overseas. Unfortunately, my daughter-in-law has mild paranoia that stemmed from her condition and thus sometimes feels unsafe and unfamiliar in our house, and often shouts to see my son or get really angry at times. I don't fault her for any of these things because I know she can't help it. I accompany my daughter-in-law to her appointments and stay by her side throughout when she's having severe nausea. I also sleep beside her for the night because I am worried sick if she'd feel dizzy and fall while getting up in the night for a pee. We have spoken to her gyna, and my daughter-in-law is now on antipsychotics, which does make her feel better, but she still has bouts of anxiety and asks for my son often. Right now my son visits every Friday and leaves on Sunday morning. I have asked my son to call her often, but she gets into arguments with me saying he doesn't have time even though he finishes work at the latest by 6. Calling her every day would definitely help my daughter-in-law a lot. Besides that, I really think having a familiar face would help. So 3 days ago I asked my son if daughter-in-law's parents could move over from their home country for the time being and stay over at his house. My son says that would be an inconvenience and he'd have to pay for their living expenses. So I countered that I would chip in a bit. I was also absolutely shocked to find out that my son and daughter-in-law minimized her condition issue and was lying to her parents that everything was still manageable. My son said it was not happening and that he would not be able to function properly with everyone in the house. I got very frustrated and called the daughter-in-law's parents and told them the reality of the situation. And they were very disappointed but also concerned and eager to help out. I confronted my son after the call and he's extremely angry with me and his father. We both think that he needs to be more involved and empathetic because once the baby arrives, it's only going to be worse. And we are getting old as well and can't be there for every step of the way. My husband assured me that I made the right decision, but my son is pretty bothered by it and thinks I'm being selfish and is just using an excuse to not care of daughter-in-law, even though I've been here for her more than him. Daughter-in-law's parents will be arriving in a week, so I'm extremely grateful for that. But I still feel guilty if this was the right way to go about it. And now for some comments. That cannot be real. You're not in the wrong. You and your husband sound pretty great for helping her so much. Your son, on the other hand, is a major jerk. An insult to trees. Sorry, but wow, on every level, he's a selfish individual. You are not in the wrong. Quite honestly, your daughter-in-law should move back with her parents. Your son is behaving like a worthless jerk, and I don't see him treating his child any better than he's treating his pregnant wife. You are not in the wrong. You're not dumping her out on the street. You're trying to get her the help she needs. How could he be away from his wife this much if he truly loved her? Thank you for looking out for her, even if it's the hard decision you have to make. Edit. Thank you to everyone who has responded. I feel overwhelmed about how much worse the situation could be. As a mother both to my son and daughter-in-law, I feel deeply ashamed and worried about how callously my son behaved. My plan is to definitely sit him down and talk to him and mention some issues that people have brought up, including how he plans to take care of the baby if daughter-in-law is recovering and still mentally unwell, and whether his actions are just because of his stress or if he's really neglectful. If he has become neglectful, I'd support my daughter-in-law in choosing what's best for her. My daughter-in-law would always have my unhindered support regardless, and she'd be staying with me and well cared for till her parents arrived. And afterwards as well if they need a break. I need to reflect and question my son on why he's behaving this way and resolve it as necessary. Thank you once again. I'm 38 weeks pregnant and I really look and feel it. I'm all Billy and not much else. To edit, my boyfriend thinks he's fat but he's not. He's in really good shape, so this is where I went wrong. This morning my boyfriend is making us breakfast. Me, him and our 4-year-old. I've asked for a bacon sandwich with 4 pieces of bacon, as I'm starving and craving bacon at the moment. He said no, he'll give me 2. Okay, but I didn't ask for that. I've said why can I not have 4 pieces? And he's told me that it's greedy and he will give me less. So I said I put on 3 stone this pregnancy and I still weigh less than him. So why can't I have 4 pieces of bacon? And now he's really upset with me and told me that's really rude. And now he knows how I feel about him. To be honest, I was just annoyed at being called greedy when I'm literally ready to pop. So am I in the wrong? I do feel a bit bad, but it was rude at first. And now for some comments. Boyfriend is being weirdly controlling in regards to food and weight because of his own insecurities. He's projecting onto you, and when you show him the true nature, he gets pissy. No thanks. I'm going to say you're not in the wrong, unless you use the weight rebuttal as a way to spite him into feeling bad about his decision. Either way, I don't exactly see a problem with you wanting more pieces of bacon unless there is a shortage. It is literally like a child asking for more water, and the parent says no. Like, what the hell? I've always had a strained relationship with my mom. She tends to play my wife for stuff, which is weird because we had these issues before I met my wife. That being said, my mom wanted to come and visit and we thought it would be good for her to get to know her grandchildren. She lives abroad and they have seen her 2 or 3 times in 10 years, but are not old enough to ask questions about her. My mom's visit happened to be scheduled during my wife's birthday. I don't think my mom did that on purpose though, as I don't think she even knew it was her birthday. I told her the day she landed and informed her we would be celebrating that day. The day of my wife's birthday rolled around, and my mom seemed annoyed that we woke her. Just with noise, not on purpose. Her husband told me to be patient with her, as she hadn't been sleeping since they arrived. I brushed it off and proceeded with the day. I wanted to pamper my wife all day and my mom got annoyed when asked to help. I thought she could make breakfast. Hadn't cooked since she arrived. But she looked annoyed, so I let it go. The plan was to go to Disney for the day, which my mom was cool with, but she began to complain my wife was taking too long and why does she need her hair and makeup fully done. I asked her to stop complaining and she stormed off. Finally, we got to Disney and my mom got annoyed because we were taking too many pictures, asked her to take some for us. And my wife loves pictures and family photo shoots. My mom started saying we were wasting her day and we don't know how to treat a guest. I gave her one warning, but she snapped at me that why should she care about my wife's birthday when she never sent her anything on hers. I told her to stop being a brat and it was a day to celebrate my wife, but my mom said, "Come on, you jerks didn't even come to my wedding. Do you think I actually want to celebrate you?" I was stunned, as I thought the wedding drama was long behind us. I asked her husband to take her for a walk and she yelled, "Finally, I don't have to take any more pictures." My kids were horrified and my wife looked pissed. When we met back up, I told her she needed to pack and get out as soon as possible. I was no longer welcome in my family home if she didn't want to celebrate a family birthday. Her husband got mad. Honestly, he doesn't speak very much English, so I couldn't entirely understand. But the gist is, it was wrong to make my mom spend her trip celebrating my wife. We were being annoying and I'm a bad son. I feel kinda bad because obviously visiting took considerable time and money and now she's in a hotel and we are not talking. But I view my family as a package deal. And now for some comments. Everyone sucks. I totally get your perspective, I do. And I think your mom's behavior is crabby, hence the everyone sucks. However, what you describe is awful host behavior. You have strained relationship but had her stay in your home and didn't tell her that her expensive vacation would coincide with another full-day celebration until the moment she landed. Both you and your mother have set one another up for acrimony. Everyone sucks. You knew it was your wife's birthday when your mom booked the flight. You should have told her ahead of time so she could have time to decide if she wanted to participate or do something else with her day. Your mom's behavior isn't the greatest for an adult, but I also think you expect a lot of her. She's a guest in your home. The relationship appears to be strained, and yet you ask her to make breakfast? The what? That makes no sense. Maybe asking her to help with a smaller task would have been more realistic. I think you started the day off on the wrong foot. But it also sounds like your mom isn't able to control her feelings or her words when she's not happy. Not a good impression or example for the kids. I don't think it's reasonable to expect your mom to be enthusiastic about celebrating your wife's birthday. Your mom shouldn't feel obligated to do something while she's on vacation. You should have given her an option to do something else, and this honestly feels like a control move on your part. I can't make a call here. While it does sound like a difficult relationship, being tasked as photographer for the day isn't my idea of a good time. And I don't love anyone on the whole earth enough to spend my unpaid day out like that. Much less so if I was an elderly woman. On the other hand, if it was just a handful of snaps, maybe she really did jump overboard from the get-go. It's difficult to quantify not being there. Maybe there isn't necessarily a prime jerk, but I also cannot commit to everyone sucks either.